What is going on, everybody? My name is Pete Snacks, and today I wanted to go over my top 5 UAD plugins. Now, I wanted to make sure that all 5 of these plugins are not included in the Analog Classics bundle, which comes with the Universal Audio hardware that you buy. So these are going to all be plugins that you would have to buy after the fact, which all the Universal Audio plugins sound really, really great. I have personally never used any of the hardware versions of any of these plugins, but all the plugins that I've used sound really, really good. The first up on the list is the EMT 140 plate reverb. This reverb is one of my go-to overall reverb plugins. I love setting this up as a vocal send. Usually I will set this to plate C, dial in my reverb time and this input filter. Usually like 180 to 250 sounds good just to cut out any of that low end. I'll also sometimes dial in this EQ here to make it fit in a mix, but this reverb sounds really, really good. It's plate reverb, sounds really thick, gives a good character to any vocal. Next up on the list is number 2, the SSL E channel strip. This is a unison preamp, so you can use it to record through as if you were recording through an actual SSL desk channel strip. The main reason I use this is on individual buses or tracks, because I like being able to hit this flip button, and that sets this to mic, and that means that the signal is going through the transformer. So I can toggle that in and out here with this X-former button, and then dial in my mic input. But that really gives a lot of good transformer saturation, and I find that increasing this until this overload button is going red relatively frequently gives you a really good sound. I also really like the compressor on here. Sounds really, I mean, it smacks, sounds good. The EQ sounds good, the filters sound good, and the gate sounds good, although I don't use it that much. My main complaint with this is that it does take a lot of processing power, but I'm sure that will get toned down as updates come out. I also wish that they would come out with just this EQ section. Like Waves has the SSL EQ. I wish there was a UAD SSL EQ. But I use this plugin a lot. It's a great utility, and it sounds really, really killer and gives you some good saturation. Next up on the list, number 3, is the Elesia Alpha Master Compressor. So this is a bus master mix compressor, whatever you want to call it. I personally use it because I really, really like the tone that it gives to a mix or to an individual bus even. You only get up to 2.4 ratio on your compression, which for a mix bus is plenty. But I also like using this soft clip setting. It gives you some really nice extra harmonics, some good distortion, and you can go crazy with that, or you can just dial it in subtly, and it'll sound really good. I've also recently been messing around with the auto fast on the attack and the release. I don't fully comprehend those, but as far as I understand them, it'll react to the initial transients of the signal really, really quickly, and then the rest of the signal will react depending on how you have your attack and your release set. But I really like this compressor. It sounds really, really cool. So number 4 on the list is another master bus processor. This is the Chandler Limited Curve Bender EQ. Now, the main reason I use this is for the filters. They sound really good and are really tight. I'll always set this high pass to 20 hertz and the low pass to 20K. I find that really frames out a track well, and make sure that no unnecessary low end and no unnecessary high end are coming through. But I do find sometimes that this high pass takes out too much of the sub, especially in electronic and hip hop music. So I'll usually compensate by setting this bass between 91 and 50 usually, depending on the track, and then I'll add back zero point 0.5 to 1 dB of gain. It's really subtle, but it helps even it out after this filter. Also, the main other band that I find myself dealing with is this high band. I'll usually set this to 10K or 8.1, and I find myself a lot of times needing to cut 0.5 to 1 dB, especially working with electronic tracks that are done all in the box. This really tames the high end and just levels it out and makes it a lot more pleasant to listen to. I also recently have started using this as a gain stage. The tone that it gives and it just sounds really good. I just do it subtly, like 0.5 to 1 dB of gain into either a compressor or a limiter, depending on where it's at in my chain. But that's the Curve Bender EQ. Sounds really good. Last up on the list, number 5 is the TubeTech CL1B. Now, this compressor is incredible for like a pop or rap vocal. It sounds super, super clean, and you can dial in quite a bit of compression and not really hear it. Usually I'll leave this on manual and dial in my own attack and release settings. Usually slower attack, faster release with the ratio between 4 and 6, then just dial in the threshold. It sounds really good. I've recently been experimenting with the fixed setting. I don't fully comprehend that completely, but it sounds pretty good sometimes. So I'll use that. All right. So that is my list of my top 5 favorite UAD plugins. Definitely check out the demos of these and buy them if you can. These are awesome plugins. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, my name is Pete Snacks. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.